Let me know once it's started.
Yes, it started.
A warm welcome to everyone to the D365 Champs, the Power Platform Meetup for the Bengaluru chapter. So, what's the agenda for today? Firstly, I'll tell you who we are and how can we connect. Then we have news, updates, and upcoming events. Then we have MVP Alison Mulligan, who will tell us the career development in Power Platform and how can you can ace up the career in it. Finally, we are having the question answer session. So, a brief timeline for us. Back in 2018, community leads realized the need of a local community in Southeast Asia. So, in 2019, 10 teams teamed up and started the first chapter in Singapore. As the time passed by, number of leads grew and Champs went global with expansion in more countries. Today in 2020, we have members and leads in Singapore, Malaysia, Australia, South Africa, UK, India, Philippines, Vietnam, and a lot more countries. We have a LinkedIn following of over 6,000 members and a Kaizala membership of 900 plus members. In the future, we are looking of a lot of new initiatives coming up. You can connect with us on social media in LinkedIn, Twitter, Kaizala, and we have a very own portal running. Also, if you want to speak in one of our events, you can talk to any one of our organizers, or you can just scan the QR code and fill in the form. Quick updates. Dipesh, over to you.
Yeah, so this is just one small thing we do, which we have added. As there is so much things coming up in the greater Microsoft community, what we try to do every monthly meetup, 2 times we try to club what are the updates from the broader Microsoft community or Microsoft. So one of the new things that has come up in Dynamics 365 marketing, you can now preview AI and SMS features. So that's great. You can now have those abilities right in there. Microsoft has added subscription billing tools into D365 Finance. There's a launch of new data center in Arizona, and I'm kind of coming from a techie background. I'm really happy whenever the data centers are increasing. That means we have a more sustainable cloud from Microsoft. You now can rename your Power Apps action-based data sources, so you have the ability to rename. Then the Power Query data flows for Dataverse and Teams is announced now, which is in preview. You can also have web apps using Microsoft Edge WebView 2 process and Unified Service Desk 4.2. Well, I'll have to explore that area, but it's something, it sounds really interesting and great. And now PowerFX supports reading NFC and HF RID tags when running in Power Apps Mobile for both iOS and Android. Update from our end. Our portal is up and running actively to do so you can go and register there. You have the YouTube channel over there, and we are coming back with trivia. So we used to do this trivia thing, power up trivia, and there are going to be goodies, right, including stickers. So if you are interested into that kind of a thing, that's going to be starting. Karan is going to head up, and Shalini, who is the co-organizer of this event, is going to be initially looking over at this thing. I think Karan is also on the call, Mr. Karan Khosla. So those are the updates from D365 Champs, and that's the news. As always, more than happy, Dynamicity is happy to sponsor any kind of community event. So we are sponsor to this meetup as well. So more than happy to continue this particular support to the community. Today, Alison is going to talk about career development in Power Platform, and she is a known name in the greater community. And if you are around UK and that region, she's done a lot for the community over there. And then generally, she has also done a greater good to the overall global community on Power Apps and Dynamics. She is a CEO to one company, and she's also. I'll let her speak. She's a very well-known name, so I'll let her speak on her introduction. However, she is CEO to one company, and just recently we realized that she's also CEO or part of another one, right? So she is one of the best persons to tell you about career development in the Power Platform space. Over to you, Alison. If I missed anything, Shalini, you can just add up, right, before moving over to Alison.
No, as we all know, she's a blue hair enthusiast, as you can see right on your screen. So, yes, we are very excited for the session.
Thank you very much. I feel like I've got a lot to live up to now from that, that introduction. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
Hooray! So we've started on a high note now. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, lovely people. Thank you so much for having me here today. really, I'm very thankful and grateful to have the opportunity to come and talk to you guys about career development in Power Platform. It's a subject that I'm hugely enthusiastic and passionate about, because I think it's up to every individual to direct their own career. And I would like to be an advocate for that as much as possible. First of all, a huge thank you to our sponsor, Dynamicity. Oh, I knew I was going to mess that pronunciation up. Who are, as I'm sure you're all aware, a leading Indian Microsoft Dynamics 365 solution provider and Power Platform solution provider. Without sponsorship, none of these events would happen. So a huge thank you to them. A bit about me. As you can see, I love blue hair. Well, it has been pink as well. You know, we've gone through a variety of colours. I'm the CEO of Maximus IT, which is a dedicated niche recruitment company for Dynamics and Power Platform. And I'm also a director of Proximo 3, which is a new startup. We started up just towards the end of last year. As a Microsoft partner, also providing Dynamics and Power Platform services. And I am part of that with 3 other MVPs. And I have 23 years experience of recruiting into the technical sector. I know I don't look old enough, so it's very kind of you to think that. For large and small companies around the globe, everything from a 5 and 10 man band up to multi-thousand employee FTSE 500 or FTSE 100 companies, or NASDAQ 100 companies. And I now specialize, and have done for the last few years, in D365 and Power Platform. That came about because I shifted at Maximus our infrastructure and our CRM onto Microsoft Cloud and onto Dynamics CRM as the version that it was then in 2015. I can't remember. I realized very, very quickly that this was the future of technology. I could see that what Microsoft were doing and what they were building was far more powerful than what anybody else was doing. You know, and I'd been working in the ERP and CRM world for 10 years. Excuse me. And so I became a D365 user and a power addict. I do my own, I build my own Power Apps. And I run my business using Power Automate and D365 and Dataverse and all of that other good stuff, and Power BI. And I am also the only recruiter in the history of the world ever who's been awarded MVP by Microsoft, which I'm pretty proud of. But the one thing I haven't done yet is go to the Microsoft HQ. So that's on my goal target list. If anyone can help me with that, that would be awesome. What we're going to cover today is planning your career development. So, you know, how you're actually going to put that plan together, moving forward in your current role, and how to increase your Power Platform skills. Now, this is not a slide heavy presentation, so I'm really glad it's being recorded, because most of it is just me gabbing on. I'm happy for people to pop up questions. When I'm presenting, I can't see the questions, so if anybody wants to, perhaps Shalini, if you want to let me know if there's questions that need answering at any point, I'm quite happy for people to interject. But we have also got some time for Q&A at the end of the session. So getting started, planning your career development. So there's a phrase that often gets used quite a lot, which is if you are not working on your own dreams, then someone else will hire you to work on theirs. Now, I disagree with that. I mean, I agree with the sentiment of it. That is the truth. That is an actual truth. If you are not working on building your own dream, then you are effectively working for someone else and helping to build theirs. But I feel like the phrase is used as a scare tactic, and I don't think that's right, because the reality for most of us is that we're going to be employed in an organization, right? And it's also super important to get employed in an organization, because you learn more when you work with other people, and you have a much better chance of increasing your skills and your knowledge when you work with a variety of people, or when you get assigned to things that maybe you haven't done before, and you will get a much wider opportunity of building your knowledge if you work for somebody else. Now, that's not to say that you can't work for yourself. You absolutely can. And if that's something that you want to do, you can plan that into your career development, right? But this idea of working for yourself, it's great and it's awesome. But there's two things that you need to consider. And as a business owner of many years, I can tell you that you need to plan how you're going to run your business so that you don't just have another job where you're paying yourself a salary, right? It's super important for you to plan out actually what that business is going to look like. But moreover, it's important for you to understand why you're doing that. And I think what gets lost along the way sometimes is when people are planning their career, they're just focused on the career aspect. And I am very much a holistic person. I think you can't be happy at work and you can't be happy in your career. It's very difficult for many, many people unless you actually have a balance and you have a rich interior life and you have things going on outside of your work. Now, it doesn't have to be the same all the time. We all go through periods of difficulty in our personal life. And if you're like me, sometimes having an outlet of work to throw yourself into is a really useful thing if you're going through a period of stress in your personal life. And sometimes it's a really counterproductive thing. And knowing how to strike the balance between when it's helpful to you to work more and when it's helpful for you to take a step back is part of the personal awareness that I would encourage you to bring into planning your career development. So all of that stuff aside, what you need to look at is where you are now and where you want to be. Now, I don't know all of the people on this call or who will be listening to this as a recorded session, so I can't give you individualized advice, but what I can tell you is it doesn't matter where you are now and it doesn't matter where you want to get to. And the point that you want to get to is kind of in the nicest possible way, nobody else's business, right? Just be honest with yourself and what it is that you want to achieve and what you want to do. Not everybody wants to be involved in 3 businesses and working all the time. Maybe your goal is that you want to be able to work 3 days a week and have more time to spend with your family. And that's totally fine. And don't let anybody give you any opinion on whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, because it really is nobody else's business. But what you need to be aware of is to plan that in. What needs to happen in your life to enable you to work 3 days a week? And that's the kind of thing that you need to be, excuse me, working into your career plan. Maybe you want to become a CTO of a Fortune 500 company, in which case, great. Again, it's nobody. Don't listen to any of that internal talk or external talk that says you'll never get there or any of that stuff. That's awesome. That's a brilliant, working 3 days a week is an awesome goal to get to. Being a CTO or a CFO or whatever of a Fortune 500 company is an awesome goal to get to. Being able to retire early is an awesome goal to get to. You can do it. 100% you can do it. You just need to plan it. Okay. So to that end, have a look at your life goals and what it is that you want to achieve, and then how your career can support that. And then the next step is to look. You would do this as you would do any technical project, is you have an as is and a to be, right? So your as is where you are now. What role are you in now? What is the next thing that you need to do, or what's the gap between here and the to be, right? You might not have started on Power Platform. You might just be, dipping your toe into it at the moment and you really want to get started, and that's fine. So your career plan is, right, what are the things that I need to learn in order to get hired into a role in Power Platform, right? So one of the things that maybe you can do, if that's the place that you're at now, Let's say you work for a company that currently doesn't use Power Platform. So you're thinking, how the hell am I going to get experience? How am I going to get hired into a role as a Power Apps developer? Maybe you don't have to. Maybe something you can do is to bring the Power Platform to you where you are, right? And that's a way that you're going to get some experience of developing Canvas apps or model-driven apps. Maybe you want to specialize in Power BI. You've seen it. You've seen these wonderful reports that people can build, these absolutely beautifully rich, detailed reports that can help companies to manage and plan for their business. And maybe that's something that excites you and you're passionate about, but you haven't touched Power BI. Okay, well, where do you get started? Fine. Build one for your household budget. I mean, it's probably not going to be it's not going to be hugely detailed, but it will at least get you started. Or if you can, bring it into where you are. Bring that Power BI into the company you work in currently. If you can't do that for whatever reason, then look for other things in your life where you can bring the Power Platform into it. We have loads of people in the Power Addicts community who got started by looking at their local church, and the lockdown situation has really enabled them to be creative, because one lady I spoke to said her local church was having trouble keeping lines of communication open for the regular congregation, and so she built a really simple form with a SharePoint backend. The whole thing was done for free, it cost nothing. She created like a whole set of Power Automate rules around it so that people could sign up to a mailing list, and they could do outreach to the pastor. I don't know if it was a pastor or a priest. I'm sorry, I forgot. And that was a way that she learned how to build stuff in Power Platform. And there are so many examples in the community of people that worked for companies that didn't use Power Platform and they bought it in. Look at Samit Saini, if you haven't heard of him. He's here in the UK. He worked for airport security at Heathrow Airport, one of the world's busiest airports. And when the new rules came in for liquids, where you could only take less than 100 milliliters or whatever the rules became of liquid in your carry-on luggage, they had millions of people going through security checks, and a lot of people coming through Heathrow Airport do connecting flights or what have you, don't speak any, millions of people, billions of people around the world don't speak any English, right? And so they would have what was called the Red Book, which was they had one book that was laminated and it was kept on a desk, and it had all of the translations for the security rules in all different languages. So they would have to go and get the book, bring it back to that passenger, find the relevant page, go through the rules with them in their own language, let them read it in their own language so that they understood what they needed to do, and then they would have to return the book back so that somebody else could use it, which is like a hugely inefficient system. And Samit said there must be a way of making this easier for people. So he did some research. He found Power Apps. He built a Power App to do it that everybody could just put on their phone, so they always had it in their pocket. And immediately the time and aggravation saving that he made straight away for so many of those people working security in Heathrow, that was it was gone overnight. The amount of stress and effort of trying to translate to people, then they just had it in their pocket on their phone. What a great example of being able to bring the Power Platform to where you are, right? And he's now he works in technology for Heathrow Airport, and he's an MVP and a really lovely person. So that's just an example. There's another one. We've got Keith Watling, who I think most people will have heard of in the Power Apps community, and he drove a bus for like 20 years for Arriva buses, and brought Power Apps into Arriva buses. So the best thing about Power Platform is there is no barrier to entry, right? So in terms of training and qualifications, there is literally no barrier to entry. You do not need a degree in computer science. If you've got one and you know about coding, brilliant, you're already ahead of the game. It's going to be super easy for you. But you know what? It's a low and no code platform. So if you don't have that experience already, if you don't have that knowledge already, it really doesn't matter. But what you can do is look at, here I am now, and I work in wherever it is that you work. And I don't use Power Platform, and I don't use D365, and I don't know what Dataverse is, right? That's no problem. Where do you want to be? Well, actually, maybe the first step that you want to get to is you want to be a Canvas apps or a model-driven apps developer. Great. What do you need to do to be able to get hired? So get yourself some experience. We've just talked about that. Is there any way that you can build something for someone that will get you started, right? The next stage is, how can I get certified? So if you want to get hired in Power Platform and you're not currently in it, or if you do currently work in it and you want to move your career forward, the best way to show the level of your knowledge and understanding is to get certified and get help from the community. There is I don't know what it's like here or anywhere else in the world, but in the UK, there is a massive amount of support for people getting certified. So there are always people running study groups for different exams. You can literally always find a study group to join to help you pass a Microsoft certification, whether it's PL 900 or an MB 200, it doesn't matter. There's always a group going on that you can join. So if you start reaching out to the community, which I'm sure you probably talk about this a lot on these sessions, but in case you don't, or in case you're new to these sessions, one of the best ways to get help from the community is to go on to Twitter. And if you search for the hashtag Power Addicts, you will find a whole bunch of people that have either got it in their Twitter bio or they use it in their tweets. So you'll get search results and you'll start seeing people who regularly are solving problems for people with Power Platform. So don't be afraid to tweet them directly. Like 100%, anybody in this community that I have ever met in any country, if you ask them a question about, oh, I've got a problem with this, they will help you. You know, in many instances, they'll just hop on a call. They'll just say, oh, do you want to hop on a Teams meeting and we can do a screen share and you can show me what the problem is, and they'll fix it for you. I had a problem the other day where I'm trying to build something in Power. I'm trying to build a flow in Power Automate that would check for a certain type of record within our Dynamics instance, and if it's not there, it would create it. But for some inexplicable reason, I didn't build our system, obviously. For some inexplicable reason, there is a forced field on that record type that has no logical reasoning, and the record being created was coming in from a form, from a Forms Pro input. And it wasn't a question that I could ask, because it would have been really strange to ask someone filling in that form it was currency, like we had to put a currency on there, and there's no reason whatsoever why someone signing up to a form would tell me what the currency in their country is. It just didn't make any sense. And I couldn't get the flow to work because it wouldn't accept any input. I tried the integer input. I tried forcing an input of it just, being, and so anyway, I hopped on a call with one of the guys. I just posted up on Twitter, can somebody help me with this? And somebody literally tweeted me straight back and said, oh, let's hop on a call. We hopped on a Teams call, and 10 minutes later it was fixed. The whole thing was sorted, and it was super simple as well. I just had to create a little function and it was all sorted. So there is always help that you can get from the community. There is always somebody who's happy and willing to help you, right? So don't be afraid to ask. Now, when it comes to getting certified, I don't know if this is a screenshot that you guys are familiar with, or I don't know how familiar you are with the Microsoft certifications. And I'm just going to preface this with, it does cost about $100 to do a certification, but there are ways that you can get free certifications or free exam passes. One of which is if you go to the Docs and Learn setup and register there, you'll get notified of training sessions that are being delivered. And if you attend the training session, you get a free exam pass, which is a really good way of getting some certifications, even if it's just the basic ones, those badges that you can have on your LinkedIn profile and you can put in your CV, or you can go to your manager with and say, look, I did this off my own back, right? So you start with the fundamentals. So as you can see on the left-hand side of that diagram, you have the Power. This is just focused around Dynamics and Power Platform. You've got the Power Platform fundamentals and the Microsoft 365 fundamentals. I have got another slide later on that has those in a bit more detail. And then you've got the next level, which is what we call role-based qualifications, right? So if you were, for example, if you're somebody that works with the customer service Dynamics side of things, then you would do the third one down, which is Dynamics 365 Customer Service Functional Consultant, right? Or if you're finance, then you would do like fourth one up from the bottom, finance functional consultant associate. So you can, or very, very much at the bottom, finance and operations app developer associate, which is on the F&O rather than the C. So you've got like the CE stuff at the top and the F&O stuff at the bottom. So so you would do the fundamentals on the left, then in the middle you would do a role-based, and you could do multiple ones. You can do the Power Apps and D365 Developer Associate, plus the marketing, if that's what you do, or field service, or whatever is of interest to you. And once you've done those two levels of certification, you can go on to do the expert. In fact, you know what, I think now you can do the expert without having the previous two. If you already know that content, then bang straight in for the solution architect or expert exam if that's what you want to do. But if you don't have any of those certifications, or you're just on your knowledge journey, then that is the route, is to do the fundamentals first, then the associate, which is like the mid-level, and then the expert level one. Okay, I will provide these slides also to Shalini, so if anybody wants a copy of them, because there is a couple of links in here as well that are quite useful. So here is for you. I will give you time to get your phone out and snap the QR code. This is a link to the Microsoft Training and Certificates page, so that you can go and have a look at everything on there, and you can search around, look at the content, etc., all of that kind of thing. So hopefully you've had enough time to snap that. I'll give you 2 more seconds. Next. So moving forward in your current role. So let's say that you're already working in Dynamics or Power Platform. And what you would like to do is to move up to the next position. Okay, or you would like to discuss perhaps your career plan with your immediate manager, supervisor, director, whoever that is. So very much when I deal with people around the world, particularly if you're working in an organization, there is an expectation that that organization is planning your career for you. And to some extent they do. Companies will offer you a personal development plan. Some companies will offer you a personal development plan, and you will have regular reviews with your manager. But in reality, those plans and the reviews that you have with your manager exist to serve the company that you work for, which is fine because they're paying you, and that's great and that's awesome. But they exist in reality to help you to make the company become more profitable, and that's great. But maybe you need other skills to get to whatever your goal is, and this is where having that career plan already mapped out, and it doesn't need to be set in stone. You can make a career plan now for the next 5 or 10 years, and if something significant changes for you, you can redo that career plan. It doesn't matter. Don't let fear of like not having everything mapped out stop you. Or maybe you don't know what you want to do in 5 years' time, but you want to know what you know what you want to do for the next couple of years. Then do that. It's fine. But the important thing is to have that career plan, and the reason for that is if well, there's two reasons for that. Number one, if you already know where you're going and you know roughly in your own mind where you want to get to, then you can choose more efficiently between the opportunities that come your way. You know, everybody has some kind of opportunity that comes to them, whether it's a job with another company or a promotion at your current organization. And I'm sure many of you have been in this situation where an opportunity presents itself and you don't know if it's quite right and you don't know whether you should take it or not. And that's because you don't know if it fits in with your career plan. Whereas if you know what your career plan is and you know that one of the things that you need to do is you need to learn about Azure. Right now, if you didn't know that in your career plan and you're just doing your Power Up stuff and moving along through your career, and they go, oh, like, would you like to become a more senior Power Apps developer? Yeah, I'd love to do that. Thanks very much. Give me some more money. Awesome. But at this point, if an Azure opportunity came up, would you take it? And you would go, oh, I don't really know anything about Azure, so, you know, probably not. But if you know that it's something that you need to learn to get you to your 2B situation, then you're 10 times more likely to go after that opportunity, because you know that you will learn something that is valuable for you to learn in order for you to get to the place you need to get to. And secondly, if you have that knowledge in your subconscious, you start seeing opportunities everywhere. It's like you can walk around and you don't see a pair of black Nike Air Force Ones anywhere, right? And then you decide that you're going to buy some. And then you see them everywhere, because your brain does what's called confirmation bias, and it starts looking for confirmation that you're doing something in the right way everywhere. So it starts becoming aware. So, you know, as soon as you decide I'm going to start learning SQL scripting, you'll start seeing opportunities for you to do that all over the place. Like everywhere, those opportunities will suddenly pop up and you'll be like, oh, this is amazing. That's exactly what I needed. And the only reason you see that is because you have it in your subconscious that it's something that you need to pick up. If you don't have it there, if you haven't made that career plan and you don't have all of that stuff in your subconscious, you won't see all of these opportunities around you. And you'll think the only opportunity that's available to you is whatever promotion your current company is offering you, which may be great, but it might not serve your long-term goals. And it's important for you to know that whether or not it's more valuable for you to take a 5K pay rise now for the next role, or take a different role that doesn't pay you an extra 5K now, but it doubles your salary 2 years down the line. But you don't know that if you don't have a plan, which is why it's so important to have that plan in the first place of where you want to get to. So in your current role, your company's development plan exists to make you more profitable for the company, right? Which is fine, and that's great. And if it serves you in your career plan, then awesome. Everybody's in alignment. The planets have come together. Everything's working great. If not, it is your responsibility. Your company, your manager, your director, whoever doesn't care as much about your career plan as you do. It's most important to you. It's your means of feeding yourself and your family if you have one. It's your means of moving your career forward. It's your means of buying a bigger house or a nicer car, or being able to give to charity, or whatever it is that's important to you, right? But it's yours. It's personal to you. It's not theirs. It doesn't belong to the company. It doesn't belong to your manager. It's most important to you, and you have to take responsibility for it. And the first step in that is to show anybody that you work for or report into how you deliver value. Right? You can't just go to someone and say, well, I think I do a good job. I want an extra $5,000, or, you know, however you currently approach your pay rise conversation. But if you are constantly looking for ways to deliver value to your team or your company, your organization, what have you, then it's 1,000 times easier to ask to get put onto another training course, or to get promoted into a role, or to ask for more money. If you can go, look, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and you didn't need to ask me to do that. I did it. You know, and if you can't see the immediate ways for you to deliver value over and above the job that you're paid to do, then ask what you can do to improve. Go to your manager and say, you know, is there something that I could do over and above what I do in my job that would really make a difference for people in my team, in my division, in my organization? Or is there something that I could do that would really help you? You know, is there anything that I can do to improve? You know, how well am I doing right now? It would take a really hard person to say you're not really doing a good job. So they'll probably say that you're doing great. You say, good, but I want to improve. And I want to improve in this area. You know, what can I do to improve in that area? And go to your manager and demonstrate that you've planned out your career route and say, look, this is where I want to go. This is the things that I'm interested in. And I can tell you, as someone that's managed people, and anybody on this call who's managed people will tell you, it makes your life as a manager 1,000 times better if somebody says, this is what I want to do. And, you know, if you can, is there any way that I can get training or that I can get a push in this direction? Because that shows that I have someone on my team that is engaged, that is proactive, rather than sitting down. There is nothing more painful as a manager than sitting down with someone for a 6-monthly review or an annual review and saying, where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? And they go, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to do more of the same. Like, you know, which one of those employees would you rather have? The engaged one that says, I love developing model-driven apps and I want to do more of that, or I'm really, really into Power Automate. What can I do to get to follow that as a path, right? That's an engaged person in your organization. That's somebody that you're going to give opportunities to, right? So demonstrate you've planned out your career. Hello?
Somebody has joined on mute. Can you mute yourself? Please unmute yourself.
So demonstrate that you've planned out your career route and then ask for training or promotion or whatever it is that you need in order to meet your targets, and agree those targets. Agree those targets and milestones and rewards, and it's up to you to drive that, right? People go into a job and they expect that their manager is going to sit down and do their review and push them forward and work out what they need to do next and tell them everything. Don't do that. Don't be that guy or girl or they or whatever. You know, go in and say, right, you know, I'm going to learn SQL and I'm going to do it within 6 months' time. And I would love you to pay for my exam in 6 months' time if I've met these requirements, right? And then say, and this is how I'm going to review it with you. Confirm it with them in writing. You know, if you're asking for something in return, get it confirmed in writing. I always say this to people because the number 2 reason I get for people wanting to change jobs is they're like, well, I got promised this and if I did that and I did that and then I didn't get given this, right? But if you have it in writing, then nobody is surprised when you resign. Because you say, well, you know, this is what we agreed and you went back on it. It's very, very difficult. Nobody is that much of an unpleasant person that they want to go back on something that they've agreed in writing, right? So get it agreed. You know, I've said I'll learn SQL in 6 months, and if I do that, you'll pay for my exam, whatever. And they go, yes. And you go, great, okay, I'm going to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to produce a report for you every 4 weeks of how I'm doing. And every 4 weeks I should have done, by 4 weeks I should have done X, by 8 weeks I should have done Y, by 12 weeks I've done A. And then stick to that, and every 4 weeks give them a report on, you know, how you're doing on your milestones, like I'm ahead of target, or like I fell behind because I had heavy workload, but I'm going to make it up here, right? And be proactive and take control and drive that process yourself. Okay, it's not up to your manager or your company to do it. It's up to you. It's your career. It's your responsibility. And then the best feeling in the world is doing that, doing the things that you agreed that you were going to do, and then being able to bask in the glory and get your exam paid for and say, you know, I've actually taken control. It's the feeling and knowing that you've taken control of your own career and moving things forward. It's an awesome thing, and it will make such a difference to you in terms of your mental health, in terms of your sense of well-being, in terms of your sense of agency over your own life. You know, I really can't recommend it highly enough. So 100% sit down, make that plan, even if it's just with one skill. Even if you just make a career plan with one skill, do it, because the feeling you'll get will be so immense that you'll do it again and again and again with other things. I promise you. So how to increase your Power Platform skills, and I'm aware that we're probably going to run short on time, so I'll whiz through this. Only a couple of slides left. Connect with the community. Like I said, you know, if you reach out to people on Twitter or on LinkedIn, and connect with the community. If you put a post on LinkedIn and you tag Power Addicts hashtag, and you maybe tag someone like myself or other people in the community, they will start tagging other people and you'll get help with it on LinkedIn. Or go to community hacks, like we do loads of them around Europe. I don't know if it's something that you guys do. If you don't do it, then organize it, because like ultimately it's a fantastic way of getting to know other people in the community. Look at what other people are doing. Keep a finger on the pulse of what people are doing in the Power Apps community. Attend whatever sessions, which is so easy now because they're all recorded like this one, or they're virtual. You know, it used to be that you had to travel somewhere to go and see the session, and now you have all of it available to you at home with a cup of tea or, you know, whatever your drink is. If you haven't, build an app. I mean, literally, you can build an app in a day. There's an app in a day course, which I have a link to on the next slide. There is also a course by Rory Neary, which I haven't included a link to, but I can when I send the slides over, and that will take you from zero to hero in Canvas apps. So if you don't know anything now, you could follow that course and know how to build Canvas apps, I promise you, and it's super easy to follow, and it's done in little sessions. As we talked about before, find a problem in your company or for your clients that needs a solution, like Samit with the translation book. You know, he saw a problem, needed a solution. Maybe a problem that you have in your company is that everybody is manually updating some kind of spreadsheet or putting their expenses in manually and having to get them signed off. You know, could you build a Power Automate flow for that? Is there something that you could do to bring the Power Platform into where you are now? And everything you do is start a portfolio. You know, you can put a blog online for free. You can get a WordPress site and just make a little blog, and you can link it to your LinkedIn bio and put it on your CV, and just have a little portfolio of all the things that you've built, any Power Apps, any flows, reports. Be ready to showcase your work. If you're not employed in Power Platform right now, then having that portfolio and a certification is going to help you to get employed if that's the direction that you're going in. Get coaching, join a group, a study group, or any kind of coaching program you can. You've got NZ365 guy, Mark Smith, runs a 90-day mentoring challenge. He also has a course of videos on how to become an MVP, if that's something you're interested in. You know, connect with people like that, connect with people that do training, connect with people that do study groups, get coaching, get certified. It is the quickest way of showing your level of competence with anything in the Power Platform. And I have a link to an app in a day. This does go to an auto download. So it is actually a bit awkward doing it on your phone. So it's probably just as well because it just automatically downloads the files to your phone. So don't do it if you're on 4G or 3G or something and it's going to eat your data. But I am providing these slides to Shannon afterwards, so you can get hold of them. And the next slide is what it's basically a version of the earlier slide, but it's got the qualification numbers. But I've just realized I think these have changed now. Some of these have changed, but there is a link there to the certifications. In fact, I've got a link on the next slide to the certifications, to the current certifications page. But you can see here that on the left of that block is the fundamentals, and then you've got the role-based ones in the middle, so the kind of associate level exams in the middle, and then you have the expert ones. But you know, we've got the new fast track architect exams, which are not included on here. I'll just bang through to the next slide. So if you want to, you can access the Microsoft certifications posted there, which is super useful for helping you to plan through the certifications that you need to get to. So that kind of brings everything to a little bit of a head in order for us to have a Q&A session. The next couple of slides are just my contact details. If you would like to, or you can join my mailing list, which is just, it's just, at the moment it's just starting, but it will be sending out content on what's happening in Power Platform or maybe upcoming events. There is also the option for you to say if you're looking for a job, so that I can put you in touch with people that want to hire as and when that happens. Or if you're looking to hire people, you can say that when you go through the form for the mailing list, and then I can put you in touch with people who are looking for a job. So, you know, do feel free to sign up to that if you would like. And 100% connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always available to help, or put you in touch with people that can help if it's something that I can't help with, or just tag me. If you connect with me, you can tag me in posts where you're looking for help, where I can tag other people who can help you. You know, don't be afraid to reach out. You know, everyone is welcome in my LinkedIn network, 100%. Or Twitter, because Twitter is the easiest and quickest way of getting help and support on Power Platform. So feel free to follow me on Twitter and tag me in anything on Twitter that you need help with, or if you need to connect with people, always happy to help. So I guess then we just get to the Q&A, and I'm not sure if there have been any questions or not. How are we looking on the chat? Is there any questions?
Hi, Alison. Yes,
Hi.
we have one question.
Yes.
It's from Premal. He says that he's working in D365 finance and operations technology since like last 7 years. And he would like to start learning and get hands-on knowledge on Power BI and Power Apps. So how can he get the trial version and he get to explore Power Platform to play around and then go for certifications?
Right. Yeah, 100%. You can set up a trial, and I haven't included it in this set of slides, but I can send it when I send you the slides. I'll put a link in, so that you can disseminate the link to people to set up a trial environment. Trial environment is free. Power BI actually is free. You can just install it on your desktop. Well, actually, I think the desktop version you have to pay for, but you can absolutely access Power BI for free. The best way to get started is if you can use an example of a report that you would like to have in your business, or that you would use in your business, or if there is a report currently, maybe somebody is building on Excel or something like that, that you could transcribe into a Power BI report, then just do it. You know, I would probably recommend with Power BI starting with some really simple stuff. Like just build something, create your own data source, whatever that is, make a mock-up of maybe a small business that you could build a Power BI report for, and just build it and play with it. And the reason I suggest that is because if you're currently working in F&O, what you're going to find is all of these things. If you do Power App in a day, I'm just going to stop showing my screen for a second so I can talk face to face. If you do app in a day, or you can do Power BI in a day, or you can do Power Automate in a day, all of those things exist, and I will put all of those links on with the presentation. They are super simple to follow, and they're built in a certain way, specifically to make it very accessible for people to go in and build a Power BI report, and feel like you have a result within one day, right? The problem comes when you try and do the same thing with a live environment. So number one, don't play with stuff in a live environment. So that's the first thing I would say. So always have, you know, a sandbox or some other non-production environment that you can use to build anything like that. And the second thing is, and this is the key, right? Because this is actually when you start being someone that can be employed in the Power Platform, is when you realize that you're trying to connect to different bits of data in a system that you didn't build, and there's all kinds of weird naming conventions on columns that you're trying to pull down, and some of them have been deprecated, but then you've got data in both the old version and the new version that you need to use to produce a complete, like if you were doing a sales report and you needed data going back 5 years, you might find that one of the columns in that you rely on for the sales value has been deprecated because at some point something got changed in the system, but you don't know that there's no standardized naming conventions because somebody else built the system, and there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. You can't tell which is the old column, which is the new column when you're trying to pick them and pull them through. And that's when you become employable in the Power Platform, is when you learn to solve those problems. Because that's what you're doing, is you're solving problems. And when you understand that actually it's not that simple just to pull a nice clean spreadsheet through like you build in the app in a day or Power BI in a day, but when you're trying to pull data through from the back end of something that you may not be familiar with and you may not have built, but when you learn to solve that problem and make that report work, then number one, that's a huge amount of satisfaction you get from doing that. And number two, that's when you become employable, when you understand that actually most of what you do is fixing problems, right? So I would just say, start off with a free environment, set up a trial environment, build something really simple so that you get like super familiar with what it looks like and how it can work, and then try and find a way of bringing that knowledge into your existing environment. Does that answer the question? Is that helpful?
Yeah, it is, of course. There are a few more questions which got pinged while we were taking the first one. So we have a few more in. I have one from Ashwin here on the chat window. Ashwin, as Shalini asked you, do you want to unmute yourself and ask it in a detailed way yourself rather than me or Shalini going forward? Or if you're unable to do that one, I will just go ahead and ask that for you.
Hi, I will
Hi.
ask. Hi.
Yeah, sure, Ashwin.
I have a question actually. So, if I want to get certified, how do I know the exam pattern and all?
If you want to get certified, what? Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
So he wants to know about the exam pattern. So let's say he is going for a particular certification. How is he going to know what's going to be, what kind of things are asked, and what how he can understand and prepare better?
Yeah, so my advice would be to join a study group. There will be a study group somewhere for that exam, 100%, and somebody running that study group will have sat the exam. So they will be able to tell you exactly what the exam looks like. For reference, typically the exams are made up of different types of question, like multiple choice questions. Some of them require long form answers. Some of them will require you to, well, there's all different, like you would expect on an exam. Also, you can find online practice exams that you can do, which I've heard that some of them are okay and some of them are not, and sometimes you end up paying for them. So I'm not sure that that's worth doing. Maybe get a free exam voucher. Again, I'll include some links when I send the slides over. If you get a free exam voucher, then like the worst case scenario is you fail that exam, but at least you sat it and you know what to expect, right? So because the first one's going to be a strange experience, particularly as you have to do them online now. And there are certain things that you have to do with your setup, like you can't have multiple screens open. Like here we do them with Pearson VUE. I'm going to assume it's the same for you guys there. You can't have like multiple screens set up, and you have to have like an environment where you're not disturbed, and they have to see that there's nobody else in there with you feeding you answers and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a strange experience, because you used to just go to a test center and sit an exam like you did when you were at school, but obviously you can't do that in COVID, so it's a bit strange. So I would say if you can get a free exam voucher, then do just get one out of the way so that you kind of understand the experience and know what it's going to be like. And then you won't mind so much paying $100 or whatever it is for an exam. And if you join a study group, I would say you'll be reasonably confident of passing it. Certainly the fundamentals ones you should be reasonably confident of being able to pass if you do a study group. The associate ones they're going to be more geared towards you having some functional on the job knowledge. So without having done the job, it's going to be harder for you to get those levels of exams. And the expert ones, you're going to have to be expert for those, right? But you could at least get the fundamentals. And just having those will show any employer or potential employer that you're serious and that you're doing this self-guided study and that you're taking responsibility for your own learning, right? So yeah, I mean, just it's a very unknown situation, right, to take these exams, but you just kind of have to do it, and at least no one's there to see you, so it's not embarrassing, right? Nobody will know if you fail it except you, so it's fine. Just don't tell anyone.
Yeah, I'll agree. So definitely I'll add to that about the study group part. So at least I am planning this. This has not yet gone out to Chan. So kind of an official announcement that I plan to do certain of the certifications very soon. So if you are in India time zone, I'm going to create some groups out there for study. And if you want to join in, I mean, that's the best way to study. It's like going back to your college, your university, school days. And that's the way, I mean, I used to prepare like that, right? So I think that's kind of, that gives you a motivation, and it gives you a inspiration between your group, right? Because you're going towards one common goal. And I think if Vivek is there, we keep talking within ourselves in Dynamicity that we would want to do something, right? Both of us have to be upgrading our certifications. And another important thing to note is if you have been very disciplined in doing certifications, as I have been for the past decade on Dynamics and then now on Power Platform, there is a kind of upgrade paths available. So rather than again taking a new one altogether, you can, if you let's say you had done something on sales, right, and D365 side of the house, you should go for the upgrade certification, which is a kind of a lesser one compared, and only the new things will be coming over. And I kind of like the way those exams are now, the exam programs from Microsoft are now evolving. It's getting some similar to the core pack, something like SQL. So if I did the certification on SQL, then I need to do an upgrade one, not always like start from scratch. So you need to explore the link that Alison shared, really to go through that. Um, I think we have one last question from Palak. Palak, would you want to
Yeah,
unmute yourself and ask yourself?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes, hello.
hi.
Hi, Alison. Hi, Shalini. So
Hi,
my
Palak.
question is, I'm a fresher in D365. So this is a new platform for me. So I have started and I am learning from last 6 to 7 months. So my question is that my role is functional CRM consultant here. So if I want to see my career in 3 to 4 years overseas, so what advice you would give, or what expertise or certification I need to do over that?
This is a great question, right? So if I understand correctly, you're starting out now in D365 CRM, and you want to know how to build your career so that you can get employed abroad in a few years' time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got the Dynamics Fundamentals exam you can do, which if you use the link in the slides, you will get straight to that. That is one of the exams you can get a free exam pass for if you attend a training session. It's like a one-day training session run by Microsoft. They do them reasonably often, and you'll get a free exam pass. So that's an easy win right there, to get that the Dynamics Fundamentals. The world of work has changed a lot because of the COVID situation, right? And so we have a situation now where we have a lot of companies who didn't used to have people working remotely, who now have people working remotely. And I am crusading for those companies in Europe to use resources from people in different countries, because I think it helps us to all build our knowledge so much better than just sticking within the confines of what we already know. So what you'll see in 3 to 4 years, I think, is that actually you can get employed anywhere in the world. Like it's location, you wouldn't even have to be physically located in that country to be able to work there. I don't know what that will mean in terms of immigration and work permits and stuff. It's always been, for example, notoriously difficult to get a work permit to go to the USA. Like they have X number of H-1B permits they give out, and like they're normally gone by March. So if you, after that time, if you want to go get a job in the USA, forget it. Like it's nigh on impossible to do. But Canada, totally different story. Like a company can employ you in Canada and sponsor your visa like that, and you can be out there next week, right? So like it depends on where you want to go. I think if you put into your career plan that you want to work in a certain part of the world at a certain time, then probably the best thing you can do is research what's your best chance of getting employed in that country. And for the most part, the easiest way of doing that is to get a position with a large organization. So for example, if you wanted to work in the UK or somewhere in Europe, your best bet is to work for a big company like Avanade or Power Objects or someone like that, because they will be set up to sponsor your permit. That does mean, however, that you have to work for that company for like 4 years or 5 years to get your a residency or indefinite leave to remain or something like that, and you will have to be sponsored all of that time, which it doesn't sound terrible, but when you think about the fact that now I see that most people only stay in a role with one company for an average of 2 to 3 years because the technology is moving so quickly and it's a very buoyant market, it might feel like a bit of a tie, but like I think if if it's part of a longer term plan, then maybe that's not such a bad thing. But honestly, I can't predict what's going to happen in terms of the government and working rights and permits and stuff like that. And I think everything will become much more open than it is now, or at least I hope it does, because I think it's the work permit thing. I think is a little bit bananas. If you have, particularly in tech, if you have skills that you can bring into an organization that they need, and you're going to be employed in a job and paying tax money in that country, then does it really matter if you have a permit or not? I don't know. But then maybe I'm looking at it from a different perspective, because
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so definitely you put great insights. Just from the India perspective, I would like to add few things. It takes a lot more time for you to go through a permit process, just because every country which you're trying to immigrate to has a different process for the country you're immigrating from. So since I've done it few times from India in the past in my career before I did my own thing here, I can tell you it can take a lot of time, and in the current stage, it can even mean a lot of time, right? So, and then the
Yeah.
location agnostic world, yeah, I think I would agree to that, that part of the business is going to become location agnostic. So, if you're going to get the best kind of perks, right, sitting here in where you are, and you're able to do international delivery, it doesn't matter what kind of organization, as far as from the, since this question is arising out from India, so it doesn't really matter that the India, from the India perspective, there are many companies who are partnering or who are trying to provide work to the onshore companies, right? So that's another way of you getting involved, and that's where Alison gave the examples of bigger ones like Avnard. So you work X number of years, and another thing I would want to add is the language, communication, and your professional skills really matter when you want to compete at the international level, right? So when a company goes out to take an immigrant in, normally they are also looking at those sides, right? What your communication will really matter a lot. So for most of us here in India, English is not the primary language. So you need to work on your written and oral skills a lot, right? It needs to be articulated and the customer, because Power Platform is a space, and Dynamics is a space where you're going to interact with the customer a lot. So if you cannot explain it to your team or to your customer or to your peer or senior different stakeholders, it's going to be difficult. So I always say to the consultants out here in India, and even within my company and within Champs and wherever I speak, it's pretty important to have those skills apart from what Alison just mentioned. If you don't have that, you are not going to be in a situation, no matter how technical you are or how functionally grown you are, but you need to be able to articulate it. And then, yes, you need to target where what kind of immigration is currently open and go for those kinds of roles, projects, etc. Right? So I hope that was the addition I wanted to make to what Alison said. We are almost 8 minutes over, so I'll leave it over
Sorry.
to Shalini now to summarize.
We
And
have Venkata wanted to say something. He raised
Yes.
hands. So yeah.
oh,
Please,
all right,
please
I
do,
missed that.
Venkata.
I missed
Yeah.
that.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Alison.
Hi.
Uh, it's quite pleasure to have you it on this show. So
Thank you.
before coming to this session, I have a few questions. But after this session, I have loads and tons of questions are there, which I will be routing it to your specific messages. But generalized question which I would ask, right? So closely, I am 11, 12 years of experience. All my circle friends are close to 10 to 11 years only. And if you see from 2009, 2011 to now, from few years only, most of the companies are using power platforms at scale. Okay, so all my friends are from core crm background only, 4.0 to 2011 to 13, 15, 16 and all. And they have not got the chance to work on integrations as well. But once this power platform came, all are keeping me and asking like what are our career prospect, how we will go, we don't know integrations, we don't know the power platform and all, how are we going to excel in our career? So could you enlighten in that area?
Yes. So the one piece of advice I would give without giving anything away is if you're working on the CRM side of things, you should probably be focusing very heavily on Power Platform, like 100%. Like as much as you can. That's the direction that you need to go in. And so, if they don't currently work with it, as I'm going back to the earlier part of the session, find a way to bring it into where you are. The very starting points you can make is to do an app in a day, a Power BI in a day, a Power Automate in a day session. Join a hack. Like do you guys do hacks currently in India, or is it not a
Yes,
big
yes.
thing? Yeah.
Oh,
So
yes,
join
yes.
a hack, join a Power Platform hack, because you will be teamed up with somebody that knows a lot and you'll learn a lot. So, that's an awesome way of doing it. Um, and once you've done some of the basics using those in a day formats, or if you've joined some hacks or you've built some stuff yourself, then find a way to bring it into where you are. Right, if you're working on D365, there is multiple opportunities to bring Power Automate in everywhere, like everywhere. At the moment, any task that anybody is doing manually on your D365, you can find a way to automate that. So even if it's as simple as, like for me, so our CRM is D365 CE. If I want to register a new candidate, or the form that I gave you a link for, that form is connected to my Dataverse. And so what will happen is when you put your email address in there, it will search to see if your email address is in the list of entries already, and if it's not there, it will create a record. If it is there, it will just update the existing record, right? And that was just a Power Automate that I built. So there's loads of little things that you can do like that just to get started. You can build your business process flows in Power Automate. Well, they're all done in Power Automate now. You can connect forms. You can, if you're using D365, you've got Power BI reporting right there in your dashboards. You can build Power BI dashboards. Like there's all kinds of, you can build a Power App. So let's say, taking the example of adding candidates, I have a Power App that I have on my phone. So if I happen to be out, that obviously doesn't happen for the last 18 months, but if I happen to be out and I meet somebody, I can just fire up the Power App and get them to put their details and their phone number in that Power App. And rather than it going into my phone, it goes into the CRM so everybody can see it, not just me, right? So everybody now has that contact. So there's loads of tiny little things that you can do. I have another Power App where if I'm with a customer, I can look up immediately the contractors who are available for F&O work. So, I can just literally type in a search criteria and it will return me the people in our CRM who meet the rate and availability requirements and have been tagged with the skills that we need. So there is multiple ways that you can build tiny little things just to dip your toe in the water to get started with Power Platform. But that's the way everything's going to go. The F&O stuff will get in, well, not talking about anything NDA. Like that's just a personal opinion, right? Is that because you can see the way Microsoft is building the products, it's like everything is going to channel towards like one homogenous platform, right? So, if you're not doing Power Platform now, get started as quickly as possible. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. Okay, so if you haven't started already, just get started. Just get started anywhere. Does that answer your question, Venkata?
Yes, Alison. Thank you.
So,
You're welcome.
so just to add to that, so Dynamics set of apps are going to be just some enterprise play. Eventually, that's my personal opinion on it worldwide. So bigger enterprises are going to use your Dynamics apps, and they are going to be within Dataverse, which we all understand as of what's happening, right? That's the direction it seems to be. But Power App is going to be, or Power Platform is going to empower right from a small store near to you to something as big as an enterprise. So if you don't know the reality, most of the organization, more than 90% of Fortune 500 organizations today use some kind of a Power App. So that tells you, right? The vision here is to make something, make app building as easy as making PowerPoint, right? And we all know how to make a PowerPoint, and that's kind of the reality. And it's surprising, Venkata, you raised that because whoever is, I know you have a big circle around that 11 to 12-year segments, especially south of India. So I'm amazed to know that Dynamics traditionally also CRM is supposed to be integrated to so many applications. So you have that design concept within you, right? Most of the professionals should not fear. Dynamics, I don't remember a Dynamics CRM project which was not integrated somewhere. I don't know, Alison, if you have something like that, but in last 13 years, I have not, right from the start where it was Royal Bank of Scotland kind of project to now, I have not seen over 100 plus deliveries, something which was not integrating, right? So it's not never going to be standalone application, right? It integrates. So same thing.
Like D365 is a power app in and of itself anyway.
Yeah. It's kind of a, you have to start thinking of it around like a power app or whatever you used to do XRM, which we used to call XRM, has to go into your Power Platform thought process. Second thing is to learn around integration. So if you see what we do here at Champs, one of us has, when you do take the hashtag D365 Champs today, it's going to automatically retweet from the Champs handle on Twitter, right? That's already built in. A lot of the auto posting we do comes from Power Automate. There are so many forms we put it out there. That's kind of linking into a Dataverse, the Teams connection. A lot of the automation which you see me reposting and the different organizers within us doing it in the community itself. So it's a great place because you're one of the organizers here. It's a great place for you to just be starting over, right? It doesn't take a great degree of knowledge, and that's coming back from the fact that you need a peer group, right? And I think you have you do
right,
have
and you guys have got like 1,000 strong group in your Kazala, so you know there's a huge amount of knowledge there.
So I have not opened up one side where Kaizala has tons of connectors, right? So we can, the plan to do Kaizala was not only just because we wanted to just use something Microsoft. There is more vision to that because it's going to be embedding some stage within Teams and the greater, there are so many Power Automate connectors for Kaizala today. So you have that answer, right? You can start just here and then you can propagate that to your peer group, and that's how power users keep growing, right? I think that's the direction, no matter whether you like it or not. If you want to stick to this space, yeah, whether you like it or not, but
it's what's going to happen. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's one. I was the late entrant to Flow, right? So Flows used to be there, which we call now Power Automate. But now most of the things that I design include Power Automate, right? So I think that's what the team is supposed to be doing, and that's the direction, right? We need to think in that direction. Yeah. Over to you, Alison and Shalini now. I think we are 17 minutes over.
Yeah, I'm done. I think you know, I have some follow-on sessions that maybe I can do in like 3 months or 6 months time if people would like. But you know, anybody's welcome to reach out to me. So please do.
It was great to have you, Alison, with us. And thank you to everyone for joining. Take care, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.
ఇప్పుడే ఒక పావు గంట అవుతుంది ఆడు తినేసాడు నేను తిన
People are joining.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alison. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Alison.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a lovely weekend. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Alison, for being so sweet always.
No worries at all. If anybody needs anything, just please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to, like, if anybody wants to hop on a call or wants to chat, yeah, I'm happy to help.
Yes, I've put your
God,
contact details.
There's still people
Yes.
joining. I love that. That's fantastic. This is a great session. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alison, and thank you, everybody.
Thank
I
you,
got
Alison.
crashed on the other side, so I'm going to end the recording a bit later. Teams crashed on me. Apologies for that. Thank you, Alison. It was a great session and a lot of good answers. And we extended a lot beyond the time. It was great learning for all of us here at D365 Champs.
Sorry, I should have talked faster. I'll send you the slides with the links as well. So
Definitely.
Yeah, anybody who's got access to those if they would like it. Have a great weekend. I'm going to bounce now. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, to attend today. Have a great weekend. Bye.